Okay, I am back. Well, we're on our last one now. And I pray that you get a pen, listen in, and I pray that God will minister to you at this last one. Then I'll be back tomorrow to talk about a few more areas that God wants us to make sure we pay attention to enter in, so you won't keep being tricked by your own false perception of stuff that the devil is still trying to feed you, because it knows where you're going, it knows purpose about you, and it's trying to keep you blinded so you won't get there. The devil's stupid, crazy, and a loser. But listen, I want to share this part about the gatekeeper. This is very, very important, because we overlook these little foxes, is what I call them, and they still want to have their way. There's all types of gatekeepers. So I want you to first understand from a spiritual perspective, this is what's happening. Remember, I talked about this 5786 door that's already open, waiting on you, but you listening to the devil. Don't listen to the devil. He crazy, stupid, and a loser, and things may look like it's hopeless. Things may look like you ain't getting there, but he got you right where he wants you. It's to listen to him and listen to its purposes to keep you from doing this with this inner conflict. Now, here it is. This gatekeeper, mentally, what it's doing, it wants you to keep listening to those inner voices of disappointment, trauma, pain, hurt, rejection, abandonment, marriage problems, cheering problems, dating problems, identity problems. Do I want to be with women? Do I want to be with men? All these secret things that are inner critics and conflicts. So listen to me. Many of these are fear based gatekeepers. They're there to make sure that you have your fears so that they can keep you locked in. A lot of them, as I said before, they're trauma memories and things that we remember, and sometimes we remember those things that are painful. Sometimes we remember those things that are shameful, or those things that we regret. We wish we coulda, shoulda, or woulda did it differently, but it's too late now. We're somewhere else, so don't listen to the devil. But these unhealed identity wounds are messing a whole lot of people up. But these are the spiritual gatekeepers that take us to these places that it sound good. They look like it. They dressing, they doing everything that looks like it's a familiar of what we expect or would like. But it's a familiar spirit. It ain't nothing divine. It's familiar spirit. That means I know what your soul want. I know what your soul like. And so now, because you talk too freaking much, you just shared everything about your trauma, your past women, past men experiences that was horrible. So now they're gonna feed off of that from a familiar spirit. Okay, listen, these old agreements, these old unbroken cycles that you haven't taken care of, these unsubmitted areas that that you still have not given your whole life to God. You just have a good form of it. You know what I'm talking about? Well, these gatekeepers, they decide what enters in and what exits. You have to make a decision who's going to charge. If the wrong gatekeeper is in place, even good doors feel what? Inaccessible. That means you can't go through, because the gatekeeper gonna say, I wouldn't do that. Oh, you need to get away from them, to make sure you don't get there. I don't want to preach. Anyway, I want you to think about these types of spiritual gatekeepers because they're destiny blockers. Okay. The first one I want you to think about, he's a manipulator. Okay, this is one of the most ancient ones. They get you to the door to make it look like everything is cool, and then they have these forces or these boundary levels and these gates in the spiritual realm where they start looking at your personal life and things that they know about you, generational curse in your family, what you do, what you like, what you don't like, what you told them about your pain, your secrets, and all that. So they have this legal right. Okay, they have these thoughts about you, and they're going to use them from your past sins. They use these strategies so they can delay you. That's what the whole goal is. Just want to keep you back where they are, nowhere. Okay. Then the second kind is this wicked, evil agent that they work with. This is a person who intentionally, that means on purpose, they have a goal to make sure that they obstruct your path in any way to divert you from the truth of who you really are and where you're going. That's to make you feel like you shouldn't do all that. That's too much. All this kind of stuff. So, from a biblical perspective, I want you to think about this person as a witch or a sorcerer. Okay, somebody who try to prevent you from all kind of, by using all kind of witchery words and thoughts and ways. Okay, and call it Jesus, call it God speaking to them. Lord help today. trying to slow it down. But when I think about these household enemies, we got a lot of them. That's the other type. People that are close to you, people who you thought you could trust, people who you thought even in leadership that you entrusted, whatever they told you, you fed off of that. But at the same time, that was this part of you that just could not lean into anything because you were still at the gate of your own mess. Okay. So you still saw that this thing seemed wrong when God is telling you, look, I'm trying to show you right, but you can't hear because you're stuck in this place, those areas that I gave a few minutes ago, allowing these spirits to ride. Mm-mm-mm. But then in your own household, the devil try to make you abort those dreams through leadership, through family members, and then the other one is the internal gatekeeper, the one that wants to make sure that they block you within your soulish realm. The thing that you keep running back to, that sex, that vomit, the thing you said you wasn't gonna do no more, that attitude you wasn't gonna have no more, the thing that that really pulls you to want to have sex and know that you asking God to keep you saved. But this is the thing that the devil wants. He wants to have those internal conflicts and blockages so that everything you're doing, it won't be anointed because God already know the secret. The bitterness, the unforgiveness, those things that you have motives and negative talk that I talked about earlier on. These areas give you fear. These areas give you where you feel intimidated, where it looks like everything is going to be arrested or paralyzed if you don't hurry up and do something, if you don't progress and this time God is trying to show you this is not time. Okay. There's an opportune time for everything. Okay. Then you look at the denial gate keeper. That one shows you that it's a wide open gate. But at the same time, this particular denial spirit, it want to take responsibility of the areas that you should have as personal growth and give you the perception of something that is not of God. It wants you to think that I'm allowing you something good when actually it's giving you this negative connotation or negative influence flow, so you won't have to check it. I know it's time for me to get ready to go. I'm gonna have to come back on the second part, but I'm gonna say share this and get off. When we think about places and churches and people that we connect with, they're very territorial sometimes, and that's because they don't want you to get ahead of them, and that's something you got to be careful with. They don't want you to be able to really learn who you are. I call these institutional or territorial gatekeepers. These are people who are corrupt in their leadership. They're very, very bold about what they say, and they telling you something that they know is wrong, but the main goal of that is to make you be feeling like it's something wrong with you. But the real issue is that you are not sound in your thinking because you think negative and you don't think with sense, because most of the time the devil is trying to show you these are the wrong people when actually God is trying to show you these are the right people. It's deception. That's the way he rolled. That's how he rolled. So he wants you to shut up these areas that he feels like if you get in the higher, you're going to get where you need to be. He wants you to shut them up. And then he want to make sure that these areas will prevent you from doing what you need to do while God is trying to get you there. I know I'm talking to you. He wants to prevent you from accessing your spiritual truth and growth by advancing in where you need to be. Wow. I'm going to come back and give you some common strategies to look at that this spirit usually will use, such as fault finding and all that kind of stuff, and trying to stagnate you or delay you or discourage you through mockery, blaming you and saying stuff ugly, to keep you feeling like you shouldn't go no further. And they're very judgmental. Is what the ultimate goal is, to be judging all the time about something negative, and showing you your flaws or condemning you or disqualifying you. But I know I'm talking to you. I'm going to come back probably tomorrow and talk a little bit more in depth about some other areas that you need to think about, these gates that are open. But my question to you is, are you ready? Are you asleep still? What's really going on? Are you still going to keep giving these free rides? Gatekeepers decide who enters in, remember, and what exit. It's up to you to make sure you look at, are you really auditing these recurring thoughts? Say la. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Good night.